Letitia James is ready to seize Donald Trump's assets, his plane, his real estate, his vehicles, his businesses, his rents, virtually everything if Donald Trump doesn't post his $464 million bond due Monday, March 25th, 2024, which is already on extension. Now, Donald Trump has declared on Truth Social that he presently has about $500 million in cash available. The problem is, cash available is different from cash free and available. Let me explain that from a finance point of view, and then explain why Donald Trump's best choice might be to declare bankruptcy. And no, this is not a bad thing for Donald Trump. Even though it might sound like it's a bad thing for Donald Trump, it could actually be the best, most strategic move Donald Trump could make. And let's be real, he's not unfamiliar with bankruptcy, having utilized the strategy 4 times in the past. So let's first analyze cash. The problem with cash is even if you have $500 million of cash available, you always, from a finance point of view, have to ask, available for what? See, businesses have what are known as current liabilities. They have cash to cover operating expenses for things like payrolls for individuals working at golf courses, golf course staff, kitchen staff, hotel staff, administration staff, lawyers, contractors, handy folks, utility bills, and loan payments. So the real question is, what is Donald Trump's free and available cash? See, available cash is one bucket, but free and available is something that's not encumbered by bills that you got to pay. You got a bunch of, look, if you've got $5,000 of bills sitting on your desk, you got $5,000 in your checking account, you don't have $5,000 for a vacation. You got $5,000 of cash available to pay for $5,000 of bills, and then you're back to freaking zero in this damn economy. Okay? It means you have $5,000 of cash, but it's not really free and available, right? Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump doesn't have $500 million of free and available cash. I don't know. None of us do. But here's why I believe that filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, specifically for his $464 million bond payment that is due now, essentially, in his business fraud case in New York, this is a potential out for him. How? Because Chapter 11 is a corporate bankruptcy chapter, and it does not mean that Donald Trump has to stop running his businesses. See, the beautiful thing about Chapter 11 bankruptcy is it enables corporations to continue to operate because you don't want the damage of the corporations to get worse. So, what does Chapter 11 allow you to do? It enables something known as debtor in possession. It essentially means that Donald Trump could stay the seizure of his assets while continuing to operate his business as normal, paying his other loans and current obligations, payrolls, staff, make sure people don't get laid off, make sure the business doesn't collapse, because the worst case scenario is the business collapses, and then you definitely can't pay any debts because you go into Chapter 7, liquidation bankruptcy. That's bad. Chapter 11 is more, whoa. If one thing comes in and this goes through, like that $464 million bond payment, everything collapses. So let's freeze everything, keep the business operating as normal, freeze the seizures, and let's debate if these seizures are even valid in the first place. That is what's done through the Chapter 11 bankruptcy process, a process that, quite frankly, usually takes years. Now, there are some downsides with this. One of the downsides could be that generally a bankruptcy trustee is assigned. This is essentially somebody that the court appoints to make sure that the business is still being operated in a way that would minimize damage to potential collectors in bankruptcy court. However, even assigning a trustee would likely take months. For something as complicated as Trump's case, probably 6 months to maybe even a year just to find a proper trustee who could actually supervise Donald Trump's various different businesses. So I don't actually see a bankruptcy trustee being an issue because even that alone gives Donald Trump what he needs most. time. So when people argue that, oh, but if Trump files Chapter 11, there'll be a bankruptcy trustee. So it'll still buy him time. Now, some people argue, oh, no, Trump wouldn't file bankruptcy because that would waive attorney-client privileges. No, that is neither that easy nor is it automatic. In Chapter 11 bankruptcy cases, yes, attorney-client privileges can be waived if those attorney-client privileges are being utilized to further a fraud. In other words, if a fraud is ongoing and the attorney is sort of conspiring with the client to keep the fraud going, yes, you could pierce the corporate or the attorney-client privilege veil, so to speak. Just like you can also separately pierce a corporate veil. That's a separate topic. But it would be argued here that Donald Trump and his attorneys are simply trying to prevent a bankruptcy from actually getting worse by immediately having to pay cash for this bond, which would potentially collapse businesses. And so the Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection might actually be deemed justified in coming up with some form of payment plan or something that wouldn't potentially collapse businesses or sell real estate at the bottom of a real estate cycle where office real estate is devastated right now. Therefore, it's unlikely a trustee assignment would be a downside for Trump. It's unlikely that the piercing of attorney-client privilege would actually occur. Instead, it is most likely that filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy would give Donald Trump exactly what he needs. And this is why I believe Donald Trump will do exactly this. Donald Trump needs one thing and one thing only. Folks, he needs time. No, he doesn't need life insurance, though I always recommend everybody watching my videos make sure they get their life insurance, which you can actually get in as little as 5 minutes. Just go to metkevin, metkevin.com/life, and you can get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. You can Apple Pay or Android Pay for it, and it's what Lauren and I use, my wife and I, and it's amazing. So swipe up, get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes, and then you can go home to your spouse or your family and say, finally got it. And it's not even that expensive. It was like very, very, very cheap on a daily basis for us. And we're like, what? $5 million policy? That cheap? Sign up, baby. Easy mode. No, Donald Trump doesn't need life insurance. Probably already has that. But if he doesn't, he should use this company. Paid sponsorship. Donald Trump needs time. There are a few reasons Donald Trump needs time. One of the reasons Donald Trump needs time is to achieve the appeal that he is looking for and success on his appeal for his business fraud case. Winning an appeal would eliminate the need for him to pay the bond because the case would get thrown out or set up for retrial, obviously subject to the potential risk of being deemed a case of double jeopardy, but that's a topic for a different video as well. Now, Donald Trump has already secured a bond for his personal defamation case against Jean Carroll. That's following her allegations of sexual assault, which of course Donald Trump called fake news and so on and so forth. Donald Trump secured about a $91 million bond for this. That's already done. That's handled. But winning an appeal on his business fraud case would eliminate the need to pay a $464 million bond. That would be nice for Donald Trump. So he needs time to get that appeal to process, which could take 1 to 2 years. Conveniently as long as Chapter 11 bankruptcy might take. The second reason Donald Trump needs time is because Donald Trump could get a potential multi-billion-dollar windfall when and if he's actually able to liquidate shares in the Trump Media Group. The Trump Media Group is going public via something fancy known as a reverse merger. It's merging with this ticker symbol DWAC. That's a blank check company that is taking the Trump Media Group public. And this, after about 6 months after the merger date, that's called post-lockups in the finance world, after that, Donald Trump might be able to actually sell shares on the public market. That is, in English, basically 6 months after the merger completes, Donald Trump might be able to go, swipe up, baby, and sell stocks, okay? He could potentially sell billions of dollars of stock in this particular ticker symbol. It's called DWAC. Now, back when this ticker was worth over $150, I actually went on Newsmax while I was running for governor in California, and Newsmax is like, Kevin, you're talking crap about Gavin Newsom. Come on our show. So I regularly went on their show, and I told them DWAC won't stay at $150. It's going back to $10. Sure enough, it did go back to 10. That was not being anti-Trump. It was simply understanding the SPAC world. Now, there's a problem with this. This is why I'm bringing this up. I do not think that this valuation for DWAC will sustain itself long enough for Donald Trump to actually sell billions of dollars worth of shares. However, there is a chance. And so if Donald Trump can get through the next 6 months after a merger and he could start selling shares here, and there's enough liquidity for him to do it on the market, again, I don't think there will be, but if there is, he'll actually be able to essentially get a lot of money from this ticker symbol going public. So again, he needs time for that. Likely at least 6 to 8 months. The third thing he needs time for is to become president. Because if Donald Trump becomes president, he could potentially pardon himself. He will likely do that. Now, that is untested legally, but again, it will set up another court fight, which again will give him more time for his appeal to go through or for DWAC to make him a lot of money. By the way, this stock trading app right here, which I like to trade stocks on, I post all my buy-sell alerts in the Stocks and Psychology of Money course, link down below at meetkevin.com. But this app, I just want to shout out, this is known as Webull. If you don't use it yet, you really should. You could get up to $3,000 of free stock if you sign up. Just go to meetkevin.com/Webull and you can sign up for it. I love watching it, especially I love watching and playing TA on Bitcoin, mostly because I think it gives me kind of a heads up of what's going on in the market the next day. Anyway, Democrats say that Donald Trump filing bankruptcy would be horrible for Donald Trump. I actually highly agree with it, or disagree with this. I actually think filing bankruptcy via Chapter 11 would be very powerful for Trump, because Donald Trump would be able to argue, look, we're going to use the law to fight, in, of course, his point of view, evil. Donald Trump is going to use the law to fight Letitia James. He's going to use the law to continue operating his business for at least a couple more years. And at the same time, he's going to take Letitia James to court and make her fight for it. Because I could see him saying something like this. Look at America. An American entrepreneur, businessman, your former president, needs to go bankrupt because somebody who wanted to get Trump is succeeding in New York courts. Well, we're not going to let him get it that easily. MAGA, election interference. This is a tool to fight Letitia James. Now, I want to be clear. Please consider that this phrase that I came up with is just a phrase that I think Donald Trump might consider using. He would have different language for it, I know that. But I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible here in saying and acknowledging this possibility because I predict that this is exactly what Donald Trump is going to do. Now, not all of my predictions work out. I do try to make predictions that I think are likely to happen. I think this is not only likely, but I think this is probable. Now, there is also a chance that Donald Trump somehow comes up with a bunch of money through third-party backers or other, groups that end up wanting to guarantee that Donald Trump will pay this money and basically be the bond for him. He's already tried 30 different bond companies. None of that has worked. The last thing he wants is to see seizures. He doesn't want his plane seized, his business is seized. That would be even worse. He does not want to see the rents of his portfolio get seized. He does not want to see that. Bankruptcy by a Chapter 11 does not mean he is bankrupt. It means he's in the bankruptcy process. Those proceedings take years. And again, what does Donald Trump need? Time. He needs time. And by winning time, what does Donald Trump get to do? Greater likelihood of making it to the election, which means he could potentially pardon himself if he wins. Truth Social SPAC gives him money, or the appeals case goes through. He needs time. He doesn't have time right now. The deadline is now, so he must file Chapter 11. That's my opinion. I actually think it'll be politically powerful for him, although of course Democrats will rail against him. And again, my goal here on this channel is to be as politically neutral as possible. I understand that is very difficult to do in today's day and age, but that's my goal. I also like to break down my thoughts over at ehack.com. And of course, when I send alerts for trading stocks, always in the Stocks and Psychology of Money group. Though do also check out the Gold course, which is really good. There's a whole AI productivity segment on that. All of my courses over at ehack.com, including my 0 to Millionaire Real Estate Investing courses. Thank you so very much for watching. Get that life insurance, get those free stocks. Everything is linked down below. And we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Thanks so much.
Advertise these things that you told us here. I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.
Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is not personalized advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show shall not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from. I also personally operate an actively managed ETF. I may personally hold or otherwise hold long or short positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuer other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Make sure if you're considering investing in HouseHack to always read the PPM at househack.com.